And we are live. Let me turn up my volume here. And we are live. You can feel the enthusiasm in my voice. No, I got some good stuff today. We're going to finish those critical role grades that I was unable to finish on Tuesday. And then I'm going to go over some builds that I think would be really good in the Wish tournament, specifically Death, Younger, Toguro, and Void, Jin. No, there we go. Let's get that echo out of here. Let's go. And I'm not going to take the time today to go and share it everywhere. Maybe I should. Let's go just do it on my phone here. Say share, copy link. All right, by the way, guys, I'm at 399 subscribers right now. If you have not done so, just click subscribe or go and tell someone or go and create a second account. Do something, but 400 feels so much better than 399. Okay, what should we start with? Should I start with finishing our critical grades or start with talking about some Wish tournament builds? I think I'll start with finishing up these critical role grades. Let's see, last time I got almost done with the Vox Machina decks and then my voice gave out on me. Let's see, where did we get to? I think we got to Shameless Haggler, and that is where I just couldn't talk anymore. So I got 3 more cards of this Vox Machina deck. Of course, I just gave away everything from me clicking around. Maybe I'll start with Prank War, that way I can just get a clean cut when I'm doing when I'm actually turning this into a video. But Prank War, 2 difficulty, 3 mid block, Tenacious, Destroy. After your rival flips a foundation as a cost, destroy it. This does check a 6, but basically what you're saying is, I'll destroy my 2 difficulty foundation for you to destroy your face down foundation. The benefit here is that you can do this while committed, and hopefully you're destroying a rival's ready foundation. There's a small benefit there. It does check a 6, but ultimately this does not pay off being a 2 diff, 3 mid block. It's not going to find its way into decks, but I'll give it a C+ for these foundation destruction decks. Shameless Haggler, 2 diff, 2 low block. I think this has the most personality of these foundations. We get flip, discard 1 card, draw 1 card, and gain 2 health. Then your rival may draw 1 card and gain 2 health. If they do, draw 1 card and gain 2 health. Let's just say your rival does not do that. Then this is basically a 2 difficulty that says flip, discard a card, draw a card, gain 2. That's not terrible, but it's not paying off the 2 diff. If your rival goes ahead and gains 2 and draws, then you can also draw another 1 and gain 2. At that point, you have discarded 1 to draw 2 and gain 4. That's pretty worth it, but you've also given your rival a small benefit. It is a 2 low block. I could see this finding play. Ultimately, like on Earth, I'd just rather play something like Chivalrous Competitor, where we flip and both draw, and it's protecting my stage, and it is a spam foundation low block. But This one seems a lot of fun, and I could see it making its way into decks B+. Twins Bond, 2 diff, 4 check, 3 low block, enhance, remove, choose one card from each player's card pool and clear it. If the chosen cards share a card type, your attack gets +1/+1. Okay, you are removing your 2 diff foundation basically to clear your card pool 1, but you also are giving all of your attacks -1 speed because you're clearing something from your rival's card pool, and now they're going to have an easier time blocking. I could see a 2 diff 4 check self-clearing your card pool, but the coming with the -1 speed and having a 3 low block instead of like a 2 low block or a 1 low block, it's not quite enough here for me to say A tier. I could see it finding play in some niche circumstances, but not everywhere. I'll give it a B. Venture forth from I'm gonna butcher it. Venture forth from Singorn? Sinjorn? Does anybody watching know how I pronounce this? Otherwise, I'm going to say it wrong, and Critical Role fans are going to say that I'm terrible. Okay, I'll try it again. Let's see. Venture forth from Singorn, 3 difficulty, 4 check, 2 high block, form, remove, draw 2 cards. You cannot play foundations for the rest of this turn. So if you're going in on a lethal attack string, you can remove this to draw 2. The downside is that you are removing a ready foundation, which is going to hurt your checks if you're trying to play this long attack string. But sometimes all you need is that one last attack, and this can help you go and find it. And it's another way that we're getting a form draw in this game, something that we didn't have a lot of just before Yu Yu Hakusho, and now we have a lot of form draw cards. Those will always be quite good. I'll give it a B+. That takes us to the end where I'm going to, oh my gosh, I just had a total brain fart. Let's see, I'm still waking up. I'm still waking up. That takes us to the end. I'm going to give an overview of all of the cards. From the 19 non-character cards, I've got 0 A tier, 9 in the B tier, and 10 in the C tier. The 4 of cards in the B tier that I gave a B+ were Class Membership, Venture Forth, Shameless Haggler, and Storm of Arrows. Ultimately, I think if you are buying this deck as a competitive player, those are the 4 cards that you are buying the deck for. Like I said, I think the art on these cards is incredible. I really like the out-of-the-box play experience. I enjoy the characters. Competitively speaking, I don't think the Vox Machina deck is that good. This is not a deck for veterans of the game who need to go out and buy it to stay competitive with their decks. Now let's jump into the Mighty 9 characters. First, we have Jester, Lavore, Prankster, Priestess. I'm giving her a B+. She is a 6-hander with 31 health, 2 enhances. Top enhance, spend 1 momentum, add a spell card from your discard pile to your hand. That is not once per turn. Also, a lot of her spells are attacks. So in a lot of cases, this is spend a momentum, add an attack from your discard pile to your hand. That's very, very good. And bottom enhance, once per turn, commit 1 foundation. Your rival spends 1 momentum. Both players add the top card of their deck to their momentum. Basically saying you get a momentum, but your rival does not get an extra momentum. They had to spend 1 and then they get 1. Now, if your rival started out with 0 momentum, then both of you are getting momentum. But most of the time, it will be your rival just switches out 1 of their momentum, but stays the same, and you're getting a bonus momentum. You're then going to use that momentum for your top enhance to go and grab an attack. Basically, this is saying that once per turn, you can commit a foundation, grab an attack from your discard pile to your hand. That's quite good. Now, there are other things that she can be doing with spells. We're going to go shortly to Wound Restore, one of her best action spells. But in my opinion, a lot of the times you're going and grabbing an attack. Ultimately, I think this is B+, right on the cusp of A tier, but she is very dependent on spells being quite good. And I think there are a number of good spells, but not quite to the degree where I think that would push the character into A tier. Here is her alternate art, and then we get Not the Brave, Irritable Goblin, a 7-hander with 22 health, top enhance twice per turn, add the top card of your discard pile to your hand, discard 1 random card. If you discarded a copy of the same card, add it to your momentum. There's a lot going on there. Let's break it down. You are going to add the top card of your discard pile to your hand, and then you discard a random card. If it's the same, you're going to add it to your momentum. So if you had 0 cards in hand, then you can use this enhance basically to put the top card of your discard pile to your momentum, because you'll pick it up, you'll discard it, it's the same card, put it into your momentum. Other times, you are basically drawing the top card of your discard pile and then discarding something random. So you basically get to see 9 cards on your turn, but there's no guarantee at what you're discarding. I think that enhance is going to be a lot of fun. Bottom enhance, mill 1. If you have less health than your rival, your attack gets +1 damage and gains stun 1. We do have an if statement there, but being a 7-hander with 22 health, chances are you have less health than your rival. +1 damage and stun 1 for free. Very, very good. Stun 1, especially when you're going on an attack string. After 4 or 5 attacks, that becomes stun 4, stun 5. Your last attack is probably getting through. If you have less health than your rival, a lot of other 7-handers are like 20 health, 19 health, so you might get locked out there a few times, but by and large, I think it'll be online. You probably will be playing some ways where you can lose health on your own just to make sure that you're at less health than your rival. All in all, I give this character a B. I think this character seems to me more fun than Jester, but Jester just feels like she's doing better things on face and more reliably. Not seems fun, seems random, a little bit chaotic. Alternate art here. 3 diff, 4 check, 3 mid block, wound restore, a spell action for Jester. First enhance, remove, gain 5 health. Enhance, remove, if your attack deals damage, your rival loses 4 health. So we can play this from our hand as a 3 diff, check it. That's the problem here, is that it's a 3 diff that you have to check, and both of these are enhances, so they have to happen during attacks. Let's say you use the first enhance on your first attack. Now you have to check a 4 on it. That's not terrible, but let's say you're like 3 attacks in. Then even on that bottom enhance, you're going to have to check a 6 on this to get that extra 4 damage. It's not nearly as free as, say, like Sugar Rush Power Up on Fire. That's a 1 diff that you can play and then get +2 speed and +4 damage. A lot of times, I imagine you're using this on defense too, when you don't have any cards in your card pool, and you can first enhance, remove, gain 5 health. Don't get me wrong, that's very, very good. But there's a lot of good actions in the game. And so this is fighting for spots with other very, very good actions. You can't just run a million actions. It does check a 4. It is a 3 mid block. The 3 diff is adding a cost to it. I think in everybody else, I'll give this a B. I think it's pretty solid. Remove to gain 5 health or to add 4 damage to your attack, basically. But in Jester specifically, I'll give an A-, because you can always pick this up. And then you can first enhance, gain 5 health. Knott's Flask. This is the first. We did it, guys. We have an A tier card in the Critical Role decks. 1 difficulty asset, 2 mid block. After you build this asset, add 3 booze counters to it. If there are no booze counters on this card, your attack gets -2 speed. Don't ever let your attacks get -2 speed. And that is a static, so it's just in play at all times. Don't ever let this asset get to 0 booze counters. Enhance, commit, remove 1 boost counter. This attack gets +3 or -3 damage. Enhance once per turn, mill 3. If you did not mill an attack this way, add 1 boost counter to this card. Basically, if you build this, you're going to get 2 instances of +3 or -3 damage. And then sometimes you'll get a 3rd or 4th instance as the game goes on, and you get to use that bottom enhance to gain boost counters. Let's say you never gain another boost counter. You get to use it twice, +3 or -3 damage. Let's just think about how much better this is than Trinket that we saw earlier. Trinket was a 2 diff asset, 2 low block, and then you could add it to your card pool for -4 damage. But you're adding it to your card pool. Or you're adding it to your card pool for +4 damage. This is +3 or -3 twice over. So that's +6 or -6 damage on a 1 difficulty asset. And you do not have to add this to your card pool. That's crazy, right? You build in a 1 diff and you say -6 damage, or you're saying +6 damage. That's crazy. That is a really, really good exchange rate. I think that this asset is going to be everywhere. I can already see it has chaos. Mimic is going to love this card. I'm going to be playing this everywhere. I think it's crazy. Void, I think Void Jin would really appreciate this damage pump. Yeah, I could even give this card an A+, I think. Maybe I'm too excited about it, but it's nice to finally have a card in these Critical Role decks that I'm truly excited about competitively. Knots Flask, A tier, easy. Next up, Big Freaking Explosion. Now we're on a roll. We got 2 A tier cards back to back. 5 difficulty, 2 high block, 5 high 5. It is a spell, so Jester can pick this up basically at any time. Spend 1 momentum, mill 3. This attack gets 1 damage for each attack in your discard pile. If you milled 3 attacks this way, you lose health equal to half this attack's damage rounded down after it resolves. So if you have 10 cards, let's say you have 10 attacks in your discard pile. That's not crazy to assume. Then this becomes 5 high 15 for 1 momentum. Basically, that was just a powerful 10 on the card. It doesn't need other text. I think that alone, very, very good. A lot of characters are just looking for that dunk attack. This is not too heavily costed. 1 momentum is very, very doable. In Jester, if you spent your momentum to go and pick this up, now you are spending 2 momentum, but it's worth it if you're going to kill your rival. I was just noticing, does this share symbols with the thing, with this thing? It does. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But 5 high 5, that can become 5 high 15. Very, very good. I'm going to give it A-. I think it's a flavor win, that second sentence, that if you milled 3 attacks this way, that you also get a little blown up in the big freaking explosion. I love the just card title of this card. It has a lot of personality here with the imagery. I'm all in, A-. This card will see competitive play. Next up, Duplicious Attack. This is a 4 diff, 4 low 4, 1 mid block. All it has is a combo enhance. If you played a spell and then you play this, then you can say your next attack gains echo. The big benefit of this is you're giving an attack echo that has no business getting echo. The downside is that you're giving an attack echo that is already being played on 2+ progressive difficulty, because you had to play your spell and then you had to combo with this. So now you're playing an echo attack. If it was a 4 diff attack, now it's going to be on a 6, and then you're going to have to echo it on a 6. You don't just get to echo it right away when there's not many cards in your card pool. That's typically when you want to play your echo attacks, is early in your attack string. This is asking you to do it late, or third at the very least. But that's really fascinating. Right away, I'm thinking about Big Freaking Explosion, that you can go Duplicious Attack and then give this thing echo. And then if you have 3, okay, you do have to have momentum built up, right? The momentum for the echo, the momentum to use the enhance twice. So you had to have 3 momentum. But this attack has no business getting echo. And with this, you can. I think this is very, very fun. I love this design of echo with giving something echo that has no business getting it. Next up, Hand Axe Swing, 5 high 5, blank, 1 low block. I hate blank attacks, C-. Sniping Bolt, I'm going to give it a B-. I almost gave it a B+ when I thought it counted itself. It's 3 difficulty, 2 mid 3, 2 high block. If your rival's not taking damage this turn, this attack is +1/+1 for each attack in your card pool. When I first read this, I thought it counted itself, and I thought it was quite good. Because if you played it as your 3rd attack, they hadn't taken damage yet, it would be a 5 mid 6. That's 11 stats on a 3 diff. That's pretty decent. Even if you played it as your 2nd attack, it would be a 4 mid 5, which is 9 stats for a 3 diff. However, because it's a static, it's live when you're attempting to play the card. We have a lot of cards like Wind Up Punch, for example, that have a static that if something happens, then this gets -1 difficulty. So those statics apply before you make the check, basically. And then this card technically isn't in your card pool because you haven't officially played it yet. So it only counts the other attacks, is what has been explained to me on the rules Discord, making it a little bit worse. It is a 3 diff. It doesn't need many stats to be good. So I'm not going to put it in the C tier. It deserves to be in the B tier, but B minus is where we are at. Spirit Lollipop. 5 diff, 5 mid, 5, 2 mid block. You can drop this from your hand. That's what this parentheses, for people new to the game, this parentheses hand means you can just drop it from your hand and you don't even have to play a check and this thing happens. So you can just remove it. Your attack gets 3 damage, gain 2 health. That's really, really neat. That has no cost to play late in your attack string. So remember how I said wound restore, that bottom enhance, remove if your attack deals damage, your rival loses 4 health. That is a very heavily costed action to take because you're playing this enhance on like a 6 just to basically get 4 damage. And then you have to check the 6 and make sure you can pass it. But if we use our top enhance spend 1 momentum to go and get Spirit Lollipop into our hand, Spirit Lollipop is free. We could play this on our 4th or 5th attack. We don't have to make a check, give it +3. Sure, +3 is not as good as +4, but we're getting +3 and gaining 2 health. I could definitely see Jester going and grabbing Spirit Lollipop with her enhance and then just dropping this down for 3 damage. Basically, if Jester is playing Spirit Lollipop, Jester always has access to powerful 3. You can spend a momentum, get Lollipop, drop Lollipop. Jester just always has powerful 3 on whatever attack she wants. Bottom response. After this attack is blocked, your next attack gets 3 damage. So it's a 5 mid 5. If it's blocked, your next one gets 3. That's fine. I think the better use of this card, honestly, is just to use it from the hand. As an attack, it's fine if you didn't draw a lot of other things. You can use it as like a budget opener. I don't love it as an attack. I do love it being played from the hand. For that reason, I'll give it a B. And Jester, who can go and pick it up at any time, I'll give it an A minus. For difficulty, 5 mid 4 targeting blast. After this attack deals damage, your next attack gets 2 speed. It's a 2 low block. It has powerful 2. There's enough going on here where I think it's B tier. It's not really doing anything interesting though. It's just kind of a value card. You know, we're a little bit overstated. We have a small response. We have powerful. We are a low block. For Tinker's Bolt. 4 diff, 3 low 4. After this attack deals damage, mill 2. If you milled an attack this way, add 1 momentum to your hand. This isn't doing it for me. It's a little understated. It's a mid block. And then we get this response that we can potentially get a momentum to our hand. There's a good chance maybe we're playing this and we don't even have momentum. So this is just blank. Maybe we don't want to bring our momentum into our hand. If we do want our momentum into our hand, maybe we don't mill an attack when we mill 2. Yeah, and then you're just playing a 4 diff 3 low 4. I'll give it a C plus because sometimes it's doing a thing, but I don't think it's going to see serious play. Averse to Water, 1 diff 3 low block, 5 check. Commit, this attack gets -2 speed. If it has the life or water symbol, it gets -1 damage. Okay, this is basically the same thing as like the Vox Machina card, Dragon Lore, I think it was. A 1 diff low block that commits for -2 speed will never be bad, but I think there's better things to be doing in serious competitive decks. B minus. Button Collector. 3 diff, 5 check, 2 low block. You can spend a momentum, seal 2 rival foundations. When I first read that, I immediately thought of Death Shoto Todoroki 4 and how much he was going to like this. But it does have a last sentence here. Your rival may destroy 1 foundation to cancel this ability. Okay, if I'm the rival, I am almost always destroying a foundation to cancel that ability. But what that means is that you spent a momentum for your rival to destroy a foundation. There's a lot of death decks and void decks that really focus on foundation destruction. So it's a win-win on those decks. Force your rival to destroy 1, or you're going to get to seal 2 really good things. Bottom enhance, commit, draw 1 card for each copy of Button Collector. If you drew 2 or more cards this way, flip this card. This is really cool. You can commit basically to draw a card. That's always going to be baseline good. Or you can commit to draw 2 or 3, but then you're going to have to flip it as well. I think this card is really cool. I ultimately think it's very, very fair because your rival has interaction with the top enhance and then the bottom enhance. If it's really good, then it ends up getting flipped. Ultimately, I put it at the B tier. I also don't think that that bottom enhance is online very often because would you really be playing 4 copies of this 3 diff in most decks? In most decks, you're playing like 1 or 2 of a couple different 3 diffs. I'd be kind of shocked if you're actually playing this at a 4 of, but it could happen. 0 difficulty, 3 mid block, hostile introduction. The best thing about this 0 difficulty foundation is Mighty 9 Breaker 2. For Jester and not, you're 4xing this card no matter what, no questions asked. For a 0 diff to have Breaker 2 is crazy. Breaker 2 is, if you block with this card, your rival's next check gets -2. After this card enters your discard pile during this enhanced step, your rival loses a health. This effect cannot reduce your rival's health below 1. Basically, if you're playing something that's destroying your own foundations, you can destroy it and burn 1 for your rival. In other characters, I'll give it a B. That's not, it's a 0 difficulty foundation. 0 difficulty foundations don't have to be good to see play. They just have to be doing something. And here, burn 1 is fine. But if you're Jester or not, this is an A+++. Putting Breaker 2 on a 0 diff is always going to be good. Mischievous Doodler. 2 diff, 2 low block, 5 check. Commit 1 foundation. Your spell attack gains stun 1 if it is blocked mill 1. Honestly, commit 1 for stun 1 is a pretty heavy cost, in my opinion. And then if it's blocked mill 1, you can kind of disregard that. But then it's gated into just spell attacks. So you have to be playing this spell attack lineup for this foundation to really be worth it. I don't see that happening. C tier. 2 diff, playing pranks, 3 high block. You can flip after you block an attack mill 1. If you milled an attack this way, the next attack your rival tries to play gets +2 difficulty. Otherwise, their next attack gets -1 speed and -2 damage. Okay, most of the time, the best thing you can be doing with this is flipping to make your rival's next attack gets 2 difficulty. But then what you're saying is, I would rather just play Keiko's Aid. Keiko's, it's also a 3 high block, and it just always does the thing. I guess it's on different symbols. Here, I've got a copy of Keiko's Aid I'm looking at as we speak. Keiko's Aid is death, good, and life. Okay, and this is chaos, fire, and void. So we are on different symbols, but it's basically just worse Keiko's Aid. But -1 speed and -2 damage isn't bad either. It's just not something that I want to be flipping my 2 difficulty foundation for. I want to flip it for that +2 difficulty effect. 2 diff, spreading the word, 3 mid block. Commit, add a pamphlet counter to a card in your rival stage. This attack is +2 speed. Response, at the start of your combat phase, if your rival has 10 or more foundations with pamphlet counters on them, you win the game. Let me just say first, a 2 difficulty foundation committing for 2 speed is not a great ratio, is not a great return, in my opinion. We have 1 diff foundations that flip for +2 speed. I'd rather do that all day than a 2 diff that commits for +2 speed. If you are playing spreading the word, you are playing it for that bottom response. At the start of your combat phase, if your rival has 10 or more foundations with pamphlet counters on them, you win the game. You basically only play this foundation if you want to play a spreading the word style deck where you're just trying to get all of your rival stuff with pamphlet counters and win the game that way. That's interesting. I think if you win with this card, it's going to feel amazing. But is that competitively viable? Heck no. Your rival can just destroy their foundations that have the pamphlet counters. Your rival could just not build to 10. Like if they have 9 foundations with 9 pamphlet counters, they just won't build one more. There's so many ways to play around this. It's not competitively viable. Will it be fun when you take your spreading the word deck to locals and it actually wins you the game? Yes, it will be a lot of fun. It's going to be a picture-worthy moment. Put it to the Universus Facebook group. Everybody will have a laugh with you, but it's not good. 1 diff, the best detectives, 3 mid block. Enhance, flip mill 3. If you milled a spell card this way, draw 1 card. So it's a 1 diff that can flip to draw. I always like those, but this is too heavily gated. You have to mill a spell card this way. You know, even if you're playing 33% of your deck as spell cards, there's still no guarantee that this is actually working. I'd rather play a 1 difficulty foundation that always works, where I always get to flip it for drawing a card. B-. The Traveler's Favorite. 6 check, 3 mid block, 2 diff. Enhance, if a card has been added to your hand from the discard pile this enhanced step, this attack gets 1 damage. I was kind of shocked when I read this and realized it said this enhanced step and not this combat phase. Because it's been pretty well established in this game that a 2 difficulty foundation is allowed to give 1 damage to all of your attacks. Or 1 speed. You know, it's allowed for 1 stat for all of your attacks from a 2 diff foundation. But this is saying if a card has been added to your hand from the discard pile this enhanced step. It's not even like those evil cards that say if a card has been played from outside your hand this combat phase. It's saying from your discard pile to your hand. That's very, very specific. And then it says this enhanced step. So there's, you know, you're working hard basically to get this to go off once per turn. And that's quite terrible. The 6 check is not going to save this card. C tier. Trickster's Blessing, 1 diff, 2 high block, spell Tenacious. After this card is committed during an attack, add 1 card from either player's discard pile to the bottom of their deck. Add 1 player card from either player's discard pile to the bottom of their deck. So you can... My brain has gone completely blank. I can't think of any applications here. Okay, you could, if you're playing against Hawks, you know, put his feather on the bottom of your deck. Maybe if you only have 5 cards in your deck, you can, you know, put, let's say you have 2 cards in your deck. Maybe you put a 5 check there nicely, or maybe you put an attack so you can draw it on your next turn. I don't think this is doing nearly enough to justify its inclusion in your deck. I'll give it a C+ because I'm sure there's something here that someone smarter than me will be finding out. Someone's probably watching this and yelling at the screen about all the cool applications this card has that I'm just totally blanking on right now. But C+, it's certainly not obvious the benefit that this is having in your deck. Unbreakable Cheer, 2 def, 2 high block, 4 check. Flip, after you mill 1 or more cards, add 1 of them to the top of your deck. Okay, so you can flip and then maybe put an attack on top of your deck, and then if you have any way to draw, you can draw that attack. That's going to be nice, but you're playing a 2 diff that needs to combo with something to really work. I guess you could just stack a 6 check on your deck sometimes. That's all you need. And then you don't have to combo with anything. But if you want to be using it to draw an attack, you do have to combo with something. And that's most of the time what I'm thinking about. Like if I'm Endeavor 3, for example, on fire, I mill 4 cards, I got a really good attack. Hey, put that on top, and then I'm going to draw it with something else. But it's not worth the 2 def 4 check. C+. All in all, for the Mighty 9 deck, I have 2 A tier cards, Knott's Flask and Big Frickin' Explosion, 10 B tier cards, and 7 C tier cards. Competitively speaking, I think the Mighty 9 deck has the edge over the Vox Machina deck. Character-wise, I think the Vox Machina deck has the edge over the Mighty 9 deck. So if you're just going for powerful characters, go for Vox Machina. If you're going for competitively viable cards, go for the Mighty 9 deck. Ultimately, if you're a competitive player and you're buying Mighty 9, you're doing it to get Knott's Flask and Big Frickin' Explosion. Both of these cards will have a pretty good impact on the metagame. But all in all, like I said at the very beginning, let's go to my reviews for this. Like I said at the very beginning, out of the box experience, I think is an A for these decks. The card art and the collectability is an A+. I love the way these cards pop. I think that you're going to have some money cards in your collector booster packs, especially the characters. The characters themselves are an A. Even if some of them aren't quite A tier in terms of competitiveness, they are A tier in terms of fun. And then competitive viability, this is a C, a big disappointment. If you're a veteran of the game and you're just byproduct to help your competitive deck get better, I think you can skip these products and just buy singles. That is my ultimate review. I think they knocked it out of the park in every single other aspect other than competitiveness. That was left just a little wanting. For myself, I'm going to go out and buy one of each. And that is going to do it for my Critical Role grades. Let me know if you disagree. If you disagree, let me know if you don't agree with any of my takes and why, and drop that in the comments below. But I'll see you next time. Okay, let's see what Universus said here. Prolong deck as out as you milling. I used it yesterday to make sure I drew Explosion. All right, there's something there. Add a 6 check for the attack you gave Echo. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I was saying that that was the downside, right? I was saying that that was the downside of Duplicious Attack, is that you're giving an attack Echo, and now it's going to be played on +2 progressive difficulty. I guess I could see that for Trickster's Blessing, I think it was. But even then, you're putting it to the bottom of your deck, so then you have to time it just right. Oh, maybe you're talking about this, Unbreakable Chair. Yeah. Then you could put the 6 check on top. That's true. So that's helping your checks, but at the same time, the 4 check on this card is hurting your checks. And I don't like that. 4 check foundations to me just need to be really good. They need to really justify the cost. Like, I'll do it for Wall Cling. You know, I'll do it for like paying the cost, the spam foundation that gets you damage. But you got to be a cut above. Is paying the cost even a 4 diff? A 4 check? Yeah, it is. It is. All right, that's costed enough. Well, that is it for these Critical Role grades. Let's jump into some of these. Let's talk about the Wish Tournament and my favorite builds for the Wish Tournament. This is what I would play if I was playing in the Wish this weekend. Let's see, what's the best? There we go. That probably looks best. Yeah, I'm going to just do a few deck profiles for the Wish Tournament this weekend. Talk about, I think I'll do Void Jin and Death Younger. And then leave it at that, because if I was playing this weekend, those are the 2 decks that I would go for. Sorry, if you can hear my stomach growling through the stream, then that's going to be kind of embarrassing. But it is like making all sorts of noises this morning. That's the downside of a 5 a.m. stream. Yeah, I guess I am hungry. I ate a huge lunch yesterday. I ate wings, and then I basically skipped dinner, and now my body is telling me that. Okay, Death Younger Toguro. Let's talk about the Wish Tournament this weekend and the best characters to play. If I was playing in the Wish, I would play Death Younger Toguro, and this is the build that I would go with. I have tested this build quite a bit. I've had a lot of team members that want testing into Death Younger, and so I've been playing Death Younger to be nice on that front. But also, when he was first revealed, I immediately thought he was cracked, and I started getting to work on a Death build because I think Death gets the best spam foundations and the highest quality of an attack lineup. I have made a lot of changes after testing for a long time, and this is ultimately the list that I would play. I think that this list is in strong contention for the webcam regional for me. Right now, I'm between Chaos Mirio, Death Younger, and Water Recovery Girl. I think those are my 3 decks that I'm deciding between. I want to play Recovery Girl, but I think that she's got some bad matchups that are going to be difficult to overcome. Younger and Mirio are easier to play, right? You just kind of turn off your brain and do the thing. You don't turn your brain off completely. There's still skill to playing the game, obviously, but they're just a little simpler of a play style than other characters. They still require skill, don't get me wrong, An unskilled pilot is not probably going to do very well and take down an event with Younger Toguro, but the skilled players who pick this deck up probably will do quite well. Let's talk about the choices that I made and why. Starting with, let me zoom in just a little bit. Okay, perfect. The deck size as a whole is 63 cards, and I'm playing 23 attacks. That is a pretty aggressive attack ratio. But remember, Younger is helping our progressive difficulty. He says after your attack resolves, build it face down. So you're getting +1 foundation and you're clearing your card pool, meaning that you can play a much higher attack ratio than normal and not get punished for it. I believe that more decks lose because they didn't draw attacks than that they checked poorly. More decks lose because they drew foundations than that they checked attacks. Because a lot of times when you build out to a really nice stage of 10 plus foundations, checking a few threes doesn't matter. And Younger is going to clear your card pool 1 during the turn. He's going to net you a foundation during the turn, so you're allowed to play a higher attack ratio. I think if you're playing this guy with a normal attack ratio of 30 to 33%, you're doing it wrong. You can very easily get away with playing a 40% attack ratio on this character. Now, this isn't quite there, but it is aggressive. 23 attacks. I want to see orange. I want to play some orange, right? If I'm going to be a relatively aggressive character, give me attacks. Next up, the next thing that my attack lineup is doing is pressuring my rival's stage. Younger does not add speed on face. He's not doing anything to make sure that your attacks get through. He's clearing your progressive. He's stacking a lot of damage on his attacks. So I want to be playing things that are fast. I want a good amount of speed on my attacks to put pressure on my rival. So I'm not interested in any 2-speed or 3-speed attacks. I see a lot of Death Younger lists running like Vial Seizing and Jawjammer. I think personally that is a mistake. There's better things to be doing. I don't want to let my foot off the gas. I want to keep putting pressure on my rival and forcing them to commit down resources if they want to block my attacks. For that reason, you can see I've got Twisting Azure Inferno, which is like 4-speed, but if I turn it on and I say that my rival's checks are getting -1, it's like +1 speed to all of my attacks. Piercing Needle, I love in Younger Toguro. I'm going to talk a lot more about this card. I think it's the MVP of this deck. If you're not playing Piercing Needle in your Death Younger Toguro, I personally think you need to change that. It's 4 speed, but you can say this attack is +2 speed and -2 damage, making this a 6-speed attack, and then you can stack damage on it with Younger Toguro. So if you're at 8 foundations, this is a 6 mid 7. It has EX3, it has Deadlock Stun 3, it's a 1 high block. This card is doing it all. 6-speed move, 4-speed move, 4-speed move, 4-speed move, 4-speed move, 80% power, 4 speed, that's most of the time a 6-speed move. So I want nothing below 4 speed. I want to keep that pressure on my rival's stage. The other way that I'm pressuring my rival's stage is through Snack Time and Frightening Calm. 3 Snack Time, 3 Frightening Calm. So I can stun my rival's stage out. If I get 2 of these on board, then all of my attacks are getting stunned too, and they're all relatively quick, just on their face. Because a lot of players right now are not blocking in this meta. There's a lot of players who just are not blocking. They're using their stage to have resets and damage reduction, and then they're playing like Barrier Shield or Referee Jury, Runaway. They're playing all of these things from their hand to not take that much damage. So they're not interested in blocking because they want to keep their stage up for all this damage reduction. You know, they want like Weapon Clash, Toughest Punk in Junior High, all of this damage reduction, Broken Psyche. They want all of this to be up. What giving Stun 2 to all of your attacks does is not let your rival do that. They can't just sit back and not block. They can't sit back and not block and just reduce all of the damage on your attacks. Number one, damage reduction, just you have to have a lot of it to have it mean anything against Younger. But number two, this says, hey, you're going to have to use your resources soon or I'm going to commit them all down. And now if you're blocking, your resources are just going to get used that much faster because all of my moves are relatively fast. The last way that I'm pressuring my rival stage is through Punisher's Beam and 80% power. 80% power, I get to selectively just point, click, destroy. Destroy that foundation. Oh, Broken Psyche, that's nice. Get it out of here. Punisher's Beam, if you don't block it, if it deals any damage, then I get to selectively destroy something. Both of these are putting a lot of pressure on your rival. So Punisher's Beam, you can't just simply DR this attack, right? You can't just take this to 1 damage and feel fine, because then I'm going to point and click destroy something. You got to block it. That's what I love about Punisher's Beam. It is demanding a block. Also, in Younger, you don't have to play Punisher's Beam as your lead attack. You can go like Battle Aura Release or Mop Strike as your lead attack, because you always want to draw cards in your first attack, right? You want to get that information as fast as possible so that you can make decisions and pivot as needed based on the cards you draw. So if you lead with Mop Strike or Battle Aura Release, it gets blocked. You build it down as Younger, then you play Punisher's Beam. Now you're saying, okay, you had 1 high block. Do you have 2 high blocks? Because otherwise, I'm point and clicking, I'm destroying something. 80% power does it for free, and then just becomes a 6 mid 7. Very, very good. Also, it's a breaker 1. This is a breaker 1. That's not nothing. So I've got lots of ways to pressure my rival stage. I'm not playing anything slow. I'm playing this stun game plan. Refreshing Slice also comes into that for momentum, right? We need momentum outs for Punisher's Beam. If we're going to be getting this free momentum, then we can use Refreshing Slice to also stun our rival stage out. Now we have 8 spam foundations all putting pressure on our rival stage. We have fast attacks putting pressure on our rival stage, and then we're selectively destroying foundations. We're just not letting up the pressure, and eventually the attacks get through and Younger makes it. All you have to have is a few attacks hit. We are 4xing all of our good attacks. Battle Aura Release and Trace Eyes, they just have to be 4x'd. You can't not 4x these cards. Trace Eyes is crazy. This is crazy. In Younger, this is going to be like a 4 low 8 free echo. That's not fair. Battle Aura Release is going to be a 4 high 8. Then you use Younger. It's going to be like a 4 high 12, 4 high 14 that draws you a card. That's not fair. Mop Strike is going to just basically let you filter your hand out. I'm only playing 3 of it. It is very good, but it's not demanding to be 4x like Battle Aura and Trace Eyes. It's in the realm of like Punisher's Beam and 80%. I love these cards, but 3x is just fine. 4x on Piercing Needle. I think that this attack is much, much better than Vile Seizing in Younger Toguro. And I think that's just a fact. This is a 6 speed attack instead of 3 speed. It is your best momentum out. We have no other momentum outs other than Trace Eyes if we don't want to destroy a ready foundation. But this is EX3. EX3. You have 2 momentum. You're going to say this is a 12 speed attack. It also has Deadlock Stun 3, which pairs really, really nicely with Snack Time, Refreshing Slice, and Frightening Calm. If they go, and you have all sorts of ways to push your rival into deadlock. You can push your rival into deadlock on face with Younger. You can push your rival into deadlock with 80% power. You need a way to punish your rival for going into deadlock, and there's almost nothing better than Stun 3. You say Stun 3 with a Snack Time and a Frightening Calm, you said Stun 5 on this attack. You say Stun 5 all EX3, they're just not blocking that. And it's a 1 high block. I love everything about what Piercing Needle is doing in this card, all in this deck. Also, Piercing Needle is the best thing you can grab off of Punisher's Beam, because it says in the momentum, after your unblocked attack deals damage, your rival loses 2 health. So it's another 2 damage. If your rival does not block your Piercing Needle, don't build it down. You do not always have to build everything down as Younger Toguro, your lead-off attacks. If your leading attack does damage, keep it in the card pool. Play another 4 diff on a 5. When they block that one, build that down. Don't be building down your unblocked attacks. Build down your blocked attacks, the things that aren't getting you momentum. Okay, after that point, everything about the deck goes to defense. And the defense here is through basically disruption and resets is what we're focusing on. We have some surviving our 0 diffs. Of course, we got surviving the final, one of the best 0 diffs. This one's just blank, but we're struggling on low blocks here. Speaking of struggling, we got 3x struggling with studies to grab something back into our hand. We have a lot of draw in our foundations with settling old debts and blood evaluation. Blood evaluation is very, very underrated right now. We have a lot of people doing momentum shenanigans with face-up foundations. The bottom enhance on blood evaluation is playable while committed, and it is not once per turn. The only thing once per turn about this card is the response that you get to draw. But if you have 3 or 4 momentum, which this deck can pretty easily get to with Punisher's Beam, then if you're playing like against Amajiki and he has 3 face-up momentum, spend your 3 momentum and flip all of his stuff. You're allowed to do that, and it can be quite good. Weapons Clash, of course, for damage reduction. Also, it helps on younger that you can flip, build the top card of your deck face down committed, and then that can either help you get more damage on face, or you can just blow it up with Frightening Calm to get your stun 1 off and not have to destroy a ready to do it. You can destroy a committed. Always Cool is awesome in this character. It can allow you to very quickly build a huge stage, or it can just be a, hey, you can't modify the damage of that attack. This can be your reset, basically, or it can just build you to a big stage very quickly. I really like Always Cool going second. It helps equalize. It helps you equalize pretty quickly with the player that went first. A couple Learning to Harden, you can destroy it to draw a card with either Weapon Clash or Frightening Calm, or you can just commit it for -2 speed. We're not playing a lot of speed hate here. Learning to Harden, surviving the final is really it. Pretty much this deck is blocking once, maybe blocking twice, and then we're just face tanking everything else. That's why cards like Always Cool and Weapons Clash are so important. They allow us to face tank more attacks. Facing Danger is very, very similar. We're going to take only 5 damage instead of, let's say they made like a 20 damage move. Hey, we'll destroy it, take it to 5. But it's also really nice because if they're playing any sort of stun and they commit this card, then you can like unflip your Keiko's Aid, for example. And you can say, thank you very much, I'm going to breaker to you again because you did that. I love the Facing Danger Keiko's Aid combo. It also helps on your attacks against, for example, like in the Wish tournament, if you're going up against Elder Toguro and they, let's say, bury your shield, make your speed 0, and then they flip it and make your damage 0, you can destroy Facing Danger and take it back to 5. You can destroy Facing Danger, take it back to 5, commit Learning to Harden, take it back to 7. Hey, Twisting Azure Inferno's back online. Learning the standards. This is another way to pressure our rival's stage in the sense that we can flip it, and when our rival builds an asset or foundation, we can then flip that. Or we get this bottom response. 80% of the time you're using it for the bottom response after you take damage from an unblocked attack. Remember, we're face tanking a lot of attacks here. Your rival has to play a non-attack card as their next form or end their combat phase. This combined with Keiko's Aid is pretty darn nasty because Keiko's Aid says your rival's next attack gets 2 difficulty. You combine Learning the Standards response with Keiko's Aid response, now their next attack is getting +3 difficulty. And failing that check does not end the combat phase. That is something big. Keiko's Aid does not say that you're allowed to fail. You have to be able to pass it. And all Younger needs is that 1 extra turn because we're coming at you every turn with a 38% attack ratio. I don't care about progressive. Coming at you every turn, and you have to be ready for that. So if Keiko's Aid, Learning the Standards, Facing Danger, Always Cool, if these can just buy me that 1 extra turn, that's all I need here. Genkai's Guidance feels really good in Toguro because you build your stage so quickly that the destroy 3 foundations doesn't feel too bad. This is big into matchups like Byakko, or Bui, where the Bui especially, they use their form, they give their big thing. They can even say Space Land, but then you say respond and just get that out of here. This is big against 5-handers where an attack means a lot. The sideboard, I've got 100% power here because if my rival's playing a character that you just need to turn off, this is going to be your best way to do it. It's also just a 5-low 10. I mean, just stats alone, this card's kind of crazy. It also has EX3 to pay off. I mean, this is kind of a crazy card, but it's really only worth the 2 check whenever committing your rival's character is a big deal. So if I'm going to side this in, I'm going to side it in over Punisher's Beam or 80% power, probably Punisher's Beam. Konosuba's Task, if they're playing all sorts of actions, if you're playing like Elder Toguro and they're using those barrier shields or those referee jury decks, go ahead and put in some Konosuba's Task just to delete their action. Unbreakable, because I don't have a lot of low blocks. It's also pretty good against like Byakko, where they're forcing you to flip your stage. And this is saying, hey, I'll discard a momentum. When you play a non-character ability that destroys, flips, or removes a card in your stage, cancel it. Now, you're not going to be able to cancel Byakko, of course. That's a character ability. But you can cancel like his attacks and things that are forcing you to flip your stage. Or destroy or remove. There's a lot of stage protection here, but it's also because this is a list where I'm only playing 11 low blocks. So this can help those mid blocks become those. 3 graceful maneuvers. I think this is going to be a really important card to have in your sideboard for the Wish tournament. If you're going against Kurama, where he's just clogging your card pool with a million cards, side in your graceful maneuvers. Like I said, not playing a lot of speed hate in this deck beyond surviving the final and learning to harden. So if you need more speed hate, if you're playing a Kurama who's clogging your card pool, put in your graceful maneuvers. I think it's going to be a very, very important sideboard card. That is it for this deck profile. This is probably what I would play if I was playing in the Wish this weekend. Is it the most fun deck? No. Is it the most efficient deck? Probably. I think there's a very good chance that Death Younger Toguro is just simply the best deck in the game. I think there's a very good chance of that. So that is Younger. You at least have to be ready for this matchup. Like I said, my list is a little different. I see other people not quite on Punisher's Beam or Piercing Needle. I think these cards are crazy in Younger specifically. One thing people might disagree about is I'm only running 2 Twisting Azure, but there's so much damage reduction that hurts this card that I'm not quite on it nearly as much as other people. It's not doing anything else really. And so 2 of it is just fine. Like the best thing is doing in most decks is not counting towards progressive, but in my, in Younger, he already doesn't, he just laughs at progressive already. So the best thing it's doing in this deck is saying +1 speed to everything. It's not necessarily the not counting towards progressive that matters here. But for Punisher's Beam, we need weapons and ranged cards, right? This is not a weapon or ranged, but it's still just too good to not put in here. So that gives me 20 attacks with weapon or ranged on them. And then you get the 4 always cool, and you get the 2 refreshing slice. So that's 26 cards. 26 cards in a 63 card deck with weapon or ranged. You're hitting the momentum most of the time. It's consistent enough. You don't need all weapon or ranged attacks. But I still would if I was siding this in. I'd probably keep the 80% power in because it pairs really well with this response. And I'm only siding this in if that response matters, right? And so I think I'd take out the Punisher's Beam for it. And it's a low block. Just need more low blocks. Well, that is it for this deck profile. What do you guys think of Younger Toguro? Are you ready for this guy if you're playing in the Wish tournament? Even if you're playing in the webcam regional, like I said, this is in the top 3 decks for me to play. I mean, whenever you play webcam, at least to me, I tend to play a little less think-heavy characters that play a little faster. And Death is Death Younger definitely fits that. While I'm thinking about playing Recovery Girl over webcam is probably going to be a bad experience. I just really want to play Recovery Girl. Let's see. Someone the other day said on my... first of all, I really like when comments disagree with me or challenge me on a take. You know, my wife will tell you there is nothing I like more than an argument. I love a good argument. So I always like it when there's comments that challenge me on things. But there was a comment the other day. Someone said, your analysis on cards is really flawed. Stick to playing Mirio. Okay, your analysis of cards, I wish they would have said how it was flawed. That way we could get into a good back and forth, but they didn't. But the stick to playing Mirio part, man, that was a good insult. That got me. Stick to playing Mirio. And then it was like, dang, I was going to play Mirio. But now if I play Mirio and do well, I'm just the Mirio guy. I don't want to be the Mirio guy. I got to play something else other than Mirio for the webcam regional. Otherwise, this guy saying stick to playing Mirio is going to be right. Huh. That one got me. That was a good one. That was a zinger. All right, let's talk about Jin. Let's switch to Jin. Okay, what time is it? It is 6:25. Okay, I got to leave a little early today at 6:45 instead of 7, but we should be able to talk about this deck in time. Oh, they need to explain, not just like here. Yeah, I was hoping that anyway that there's a good back and forth. I like being told I'm wrong. I really do. I really do. But what I like even more is proving that I'm right. That's how I felt I was with Mirio. Like the community was like, "Oh, Mirio, they anyway." I've always been adamant that he's one of the top three characters in the game, and I felt like in the before nationals he wasn't quite getting that kind of respect, and that everybody was saying Overhaul was a terrible matchup. I even made that video like Overhaul's not a bad matchup. I felt like I had to defend. You know, it was fun to do well with him and to defend my take on him being well. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't defend my Hawks take at Worlds. And that was the biggest downer of losing out in Worlds, was that I didn't get top 16. I didn't get to prove that Hawks was a top 5 character, you know, like I thought he was. Um, okay. Void Jin, talking about characters that I would play at the Wish tournament. I have practiced this deck a lot. I think that the Void symbol is very, very strong for Jin because it's the easiest symbol where we get on Void, we're getting access to flash attacks, and we're getting access to a lot of draw, and we're getting access to a lot of very powerful cancels. Let's jump straight into it with the attack lineup. I've got Mop Strike and Rejuvenating Smash in here to draw. Jin never wants to run out of cards in hand. He wants to take control of the game. The biggest downside of Jin is that he's a control character who's a 6-hander instead of a 7-hander. So he can struggle to control the game to the same degree as 7-handers do. We need things that draw. Mop Strike is going to discard and draw 2. Rejuvenating is going to draw 2. That's where those come in. After that, the best thing that we're doing is getting these flash attacks. We're getting 4 Tornado Fist and 2 Gently Theft. So we've got 6 attacks that, since Jin is giving speed at response speed, then we can say Gently Theft, hey, here's a 6 mid-8. Or here is a 7 mid-8. Tornado Fist is our best lead-off attack. 6 high 5. If you don't block it, I'm going to get a momentum, and this attack is going to momentum, so I'm getting 2 momentum. If you don't block this, I'm getting 2 momentum. Or I can just clear it from my card pool, play Rejuve on a 5. That's the biggest downside of Rejuve, is that it has to be played on a 6, because it needs to be your second attack to your second card to get that response off. But with Tornado Fest, if we discard it, then we're playing Rejuve on a 5. We have a lot of ways to get the free momentum from Rejuve. We have Botan's Coaching to discard a card. We have Petty Squabble to discard a card. So that's 6 different foundations. I could have sworn there was another way, but I can't think of it at the moment. But anyway, I think that's one of the best things of Botan's Coaching as a 0-def is just that it turns on Rejuvenating Smash, and then you get that free momentum. The best way that we're using momentum here is on Echoes. We're playing 4x Double Fists and 4x Double Tornado Fist. So we've got 3 categories of attacks here. We have draw attacks, we have flash attacks, and then we have echo attacks. Double Tornado Fist in all of my testing has consistently shown to be the best attack that Jin has access to. I know it says UR, it has his face on it, that should have been obvious. But in my early builds, I was only playing 1 or 2 of this, and then it became very, very clear that this was demanding to be at a 3 or 4x. If this attack speed is 6 or greater, it gets +2 damage. We're talking about a 6 high 7 echo attack. Sometimes between these, sometimes you get to draw, not very often. You can just consider that bottom enhance not real. It's a 6 high 7 echo that's a low block. And by the way, once again, we're kind of struggling with low blocks here. We only have 14 in a 60 card list, so that becomes very, very important. The deadlock on Gently Theft is huge. We have this sneaky discard strategy available to us. Basically, if they're in deadlock, they're going to discard 2 cards out of their hand, and then we can hit them with the Genkai's Guidance to make them discard. We can hit them with Fruit of Our Labor's Deadlock to discard. So while most of the time we're getting our attacks through with speed, if they ever enter deadlock, we have a really good discard strategy available to us as well. I love having a secondary or a tertiary option to win the game. It's not all just about the speed. But the biggest downside of this attack lineup is that we're not really pumping damage in any sort of way. Sure, Rejuve is a 6 damage attack. Gently Theft is 8 damage. Double Tornado Fist is 7 damage. Like they're already pretty high damage just on face, but we need a way to give it more damage. So that's why in our spam foundations, I've got Red Right's the coolest to flip for +2 and paying the cost. Lose a health, give it damage. With Jin, we're typically playing really, really nice defense, and so we'll have a healthy life total even late in the game. Basically, paying the cost is always online when we're ready to really go in. We have all of these echoes. We can go Tornado Fist into clear it from our card pool, Rejuve into Double Tornado Fist, Echo it, Double Fists, Echo it, Mob Strike. Like pretty soon over the course of a turn, we've given +6 to +8 damage to our attack string. It can feel really, really good. The biggest downside of the Void symbol in my mind is that the spam foundations available to Jin are not great. That's the biggest downside to both Void Jin and Air Jin, is the spam foundations just aren't quite what you want from a typical competitively successful deck. But for what the spam foundations lack, the 2 difficulty foundations more than make up for. Spooky is crazy in this character since we're subtracting so much speed and then we can swap it. Can't Escape Me will always be good, stopping our rival from adding cards to their hand. Also, the Deadlock Enhance is nuts. Petty Squabble is really good in Jin because we don't care too much if we're committed. So we can commit your character, both players discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. Jin is still playable while committed, so he doesn't care too much about this. You're losing the cancel on defense, but if you draw the attacks that you needed, who cares that you lost the cancel? You're still giving your speed, and you can go and dig for something. It's another way to discard 2 for Rejuve Smash. Discard a card to commit a rival foundation after they play an ability on it. That's quite good as well. Hacker Extraordinaire, I love this card, and it got so much more important this set. So many people are playing strong assets. We've got assets like Cape of No Return and assets like Idun Box that came out with Yu Yu Hakusho. Flipping an Idun Box can win you the game. Also, we're getting a lot of momentum. We don't have a lot of ways to spend momentum here. We get the EX3, we get the Echo on Double Tornado. This Echo is already free though, and so the best thing we can be doing with momentum most of the time is simply drawing a card. Remember, Jin wants to see lots of cards to take control of the game. Masho Concealment is our best foundation. It is unique, so I don't really want to run this at higher than 2 of. I wouldn't blame you if you ran it at a 3 of though. Honestly, it's kind of like that Lemillion of the Big 3 for Mirio, where he just runs 4 of it no matter what, even if it's unique. You could kind of get that way with this foundation. Commit to cancel something on their foundation, or on the Team Masho Enhance, it's just -1 speed or +1 damage for free. For free. So now if you have Masho Concealment and paying the cost out, all of your attacks are getting 2 damage, and you can go on this huge attack string. Prone to Dry Eyes. Oh, this was our other way on Rejuve Smash to discard a card. See, so we got 8 foundations that allow us to discard a card. We can discard a card to get that extra damage. If you have Prone to Dry Eyes, Masho Concealment, and paying the cost out, hey, now everything's getting 3 damage, 4 damage, 5 damage. All of a sudden, these Jin attacks that are typically pretty small aren't so small anymore. Also, we can just, after this card is committed, ready 2 face down foundations. And then we have 2 unbreakable. We're not playing a lot of low blocks. We do need to full block a lot of things as Jin. And then just protect our stage a little bit. I don't love unbreakable. It just feels kind of necessary in a character like this, where the difference between full blocking something and half blocking something is so big when we want to stay alive for 5 or 6 turns and play a little bit of a longer game. We're not like Younger where we want to face tank things. We don't want to be doing any of that. We want to block everything. Speaking of blocking everything, Barrier Shield is going to be great for that. If we're playing a deck that's drawing a lot of cards and where we should have card advantage, we don't care that we're using 2 cards to block an attack. Genkai's Guidance, and then 1x Cape of No Return. I could honestly see taking all of these out for other things. I don't think that this list is quite there yet. I've done a lot of testing on it. It's felt very good. I still think there's a few more refinements that are probably needed. Oh, Unexpected Hero. We have a lot of ways that we're forcing our rival to discard, right? Botan's Coaching, Gently Theft, among others. Well, whenever they discard, we can commit to draw. It's also just a low block. And then the -3 speed and +3 damage, we can use this on defense if we need an extra -3 speed, or on offense if they're at a point to where they simply can't block, like for example, Reju Smash, basically Unexpected Hero says that EX3 is actually powerful 3 because he'll EX3 your attack, give it plus 3 speed, and then you'll take away the plus 3 speed and give it plus 3 damage. So it's basically saying, okay, let's turn the EX3 into powerful 3 because it's already a 6 speed move. And if they're committed out, they're not going to be blocking it. So the 3 damage matters a lot more. I really like the versatility here. Sometimes we're drawing, sometimes we're subtracting speeds, sometimes we're adding damage. The part that this deck is lacking a little bit is the spam foundations, and then also I don't really have a lot of self foundation destruction for benefit. We're missing that like immortal shapeshifter, Nejire Chan of the big 3. We're missing those solid destruction outlets to where we can get rid of our face down foundations, build face up foundations. We're not playing a lot of those. We do have access to the 1-diff, 2 low block, I believe, that like after something deals damage, you can discard a card and draw a card. That's fine. You could maybe play that just to have a self-sacrifice outlet on your foundations. But so those are the basic ways that the deck is lacking. But I really, really enjoy all the card advantage to Void. I enjoy the flash moves, and I enjoy that the echoes that you're getting here. You're getting double fists of the Mortal Flame. In my testing, this has been Jin's best attack. You combine this with Prone to Dry Eyes, Macho Concealment, paying the cost. You get to do it for free twice. It's a 5 or 6 speed echo that's free. Feels really, really good. I think you could just basically take this list and have a very good chance in the Wish tournament at taking down the entire thing. That is going to do it for Void Jin. Let me know what you guys think of this list. 60 cards, I don't know. You could probably take this up to 70. Like I said, I don't think this is a perfectly refined list. You can see I haven't really thought through a sideboard yet. I basically got it to this point and then realized that I wasn't having a lot of fun playing Jin. That, yeah, idle work is pretty much the only one I can think of too. And I don't really want to be playing idle work. It was a pain in headshot to run it. Yeah. It's like, the Void symbol just struggles with the spam foundations and struggles with the destruction outs. So you can get caught up if you're playing a longer game. You can definitely get caught with like 5, 6 face down foundations and you're struggling to get out of it. I wish that this was tray size, in all honesty. And then you could at least destroy a face down foundation to do something. Yeah, that is going to do it. So yeah, I took this list to this point. It was doing well in testing, but I just discovered that I wasn't having a lot of fun playing Jin. When this character first came out, I thought, this is my guy. I'm going to have a lot of fun playing this guy. And then I just didn't. So I ended up building an air list too. I won't do like an entire deck profile on this list. But I ended up paying an air list because there's a lot more firepower here. Because we get Walk the Dog to be like an 8 speed, 9 speed, powerful 3 move. So what better thing to cash in on all that momentum that we've been generating from giving our things speed than a big Walk the Dog? Or you have Falling Skies. Most of these are high attacks. If you play like Kraken, Tornado Fist, Double Tornado Fist, like these are all highs. And then you can pay it off with the Falling Skies. Invisible Infiltration and Walk the Dog is lows to keep them honest. I think that's one of the biggest downside of most Falling Sky decks is that they're playing all highs, and then you just know the block zone to hold. You get Airy Smiles with Quirk Expertise. That's always a nice little thing. You get Can't Escape Me. Cheerleader felt really nice in Jin to flash your own moves. That's a direction I was finding myself doing a lot, so I took it from a 1x to a 2x because flashing, as soon as they get down to like 5 health, just go ahead and flash your next attack. Make it a 6 speed. If it's Walk the Dog, it's going to be an 8 speed. They're not going to block it. Fearsome Transformations. I like all the draw here. You do get Nejire Chan for the extra damage. But again, with the spam, it just didn't feel quite there on the air symbol. Glamour is interesting in Jin. since you can kind of tell when your rival's not going to be blocking, and then you can commit to draw. Big three, I wasn't liking a lot. The three attacks in our card pool. I do think that Walk the Dog is like the best attack in the game. The downside to Walk the Dog is that the air symbol and the order symbol aren't very good right now. So I think it's mainly playable on Chaos. I think the symbols of Walk the Dog hold it back a lot more than the attack itself. I think there's a good chance it's just the best in the game. That's where I was at with Void Gen. I started lots of things. Oh, thoughts on Dimensional Sphere for draw? Yeah, I love Dimensional Sphere. I think it's very, very underplayed right now. I think people should be 3xing or 4xing that attack. I don't really like Dimensional Sphere in Gen. I'll tell you who I really like it in. I really like it in, yeah, because Void Gen, you're already getting Rejuve and Mop Strike. But I really like Dimensional Sphere in all younger Toguro. I think the all symbol is very, very real right now. And I think this would be really good in younger. To block with it, also in younger, it's a fast move. You take care of stacking the damage on it. If it's not blocked, you're drawing 2 and discarding 1. You're forcing a block on a fast move. That's going to be good for a character like Younger. I think all Younger should definitely be running this attack. Also, I'm looking at interdimensional plants down here. I have seen this really cool combo lately, and it can happen in like all Younger, where you use interdimensional plants, commit, destroy foundation, you draw a card, and your next check gets 1, and then you can pair that with you can pair that with electromagnetic stop. Lose 2 health and ready an asset. So you interdimensional plants, draw a card, next check gets +1, electromagnetic stop, ready up interdimensional plants. Really, really like that combo. Yeah, so I think dimensional, I think this card should see a lot more play. I think right now, if you're playing in the Wish tournament, Faith Shield is going to be very important to stop Younger from building down his first attack. Dimensional Sphere, I think, could be very important to block and just remove it from the game. One mid block that does that, I think it's going to be an underplayed card. Yeah, that was my air list. Oh, I deleted my Life Gen list. Life Gen, I think Life is where he's best, but I can't just crack that. I can't crack it. I can't crack it. I've tried several times, and I end up with a deck that I'm just not that proud of, and then I don't want people seeing on UVS Ultra my name on it. So, like, I understand that, like, Command Pigeon Flock building in Mashra Concealment is just probably where Jin is best. And then there's something there with Life. You also get Heal Strike, which is a nice 4-diff attack. I really like it. It's going to be like 6 speed, 6 high 4 in Jin that unflips something. You can unflip your Keiko's Aid, because Keiko's Aid is on Life, right? Yeah, unflip your Keiko's Aid. Life gets a lot of ways to give +1. It's just the attack lineup of Life isn't that obvious for Jin. And so I keep getting stuck. And then in my frustration, I guess you're actually playing Wind Barrier. You'll notice, like, in my Void and Air lists, I wasn't playing Wind Barrier. I guess in Life, I would play Wind Barrier. I'd probably 4x this card. Maybe the answer is on Life, you just lean more into Jin's kit himself. You know, between this, and Command Pigeon Flock, well, there's your deck. That's your deck pretty much. You got 8 mid blocks, 4 high blocks, 4 low blocks. That's pretty good enough. I guess you just keep things simple. I don't know. I never did crack it. I think Life is probably his best symbol, though. You're getting access to the best foundations. So if I was playing in the Wish, though, this is the deck where it's like, yeah, I think I have this to the point to where it could be pretty competitive. So if I was playing in the Wish, I'd either go Death Younger or Void Jin. Earth Kuwabara has been fun. I haven't done a lot of work on the list since it first came out. I haven't played Kuwabara much at all in the past month, so I'm not confident in showing off that list. And then after that, since I'm not playing in the Wish, I've been focusing on like Bakugo 4. I really think that there's something here for the webcam. There's really something here with stun 8 explosive rebuke. You know, snack time, frightening calm, add +1 to all of your stun ratings, stun 8. There's definitely something there. But the downside to Bakugo is you literally just play all this stuff with Bakugo's face on it. And I don't love angry yelling. This could probably be changed for something else. But Irate Scowl, Rabble Rousing, Stun Grenade, Explosive Rebuke. I mean, those just have to be played. But there's not a lot of like deck building to show off here because you just play the stuff with his face. And then I tried to make Hawks work a little bit more. Yeah, I'm between this Chaos Mirio, Water Recovery, and Death Younger for the webcam regional. We will see. But those are my 2 deck profiles. I finished up the Critical Role grades. That is going to do it for me today. It is 6:46 in the morning. I am taking off. I'll see you on Tuesday, and we are going to do lots and lots of overreactions to the Wish Tournament. We're going to talk about all of the deck lists for people who made top cuts. Good luck specifically to my brother who is playing. He's still between Karasu or Elder Toguro. I'm hoping he goes the Karasu route because I think that's going to be the less played character out of the 2, and he's got a really unique build there. But Elder's definitely fun, where he's playing like a million one-ofs. Either way, hope Patrick takes the whole thing down. We are going to do lots of overreactions on Tuesday. I'll see you then.